So right now we're looking at someone who's a dinosaur in the gaming industry, who's been working for over 20 years in that space. And he's also responsible for all those people bending down in the substation in Berlin and looking at their mobile because he was involved with Candy Crush. And he's an ex-kin and he has now his own startup here in Berlin, which is called Pink Frog Games. Of pnkfrg was games or studios, sorry. So a warm welcome for Philipp. Can you come to the stage? Oh, sorry.
Hi, welcome from my side. I'm Philipp. I'm talking about blockchain gaming. Just to get a feeling for the audience, someone of you working in the gaming or blockchain gaming industry? Okay. Oh, good. Someone of you, or someone of who you is, or to the audience, who of you is playing games, video, mobile, etc.? Okay, good. So I get a feeling for this. So I'm talking a little bit about, as I said, reflection on embryonic state of blockchain games. Quick intro from our side. We are a mobile gaming studio based in Berlin and in Helsinki. We are former King team, as it was introduced. I'm working now in the I'm working in the gaming industry for around 20 years in different genres. I was former executive producer on Candy Crush, so it's really true. That was one of the highlights of my life, definitely of my career life or working life. And as you can see, what we have in our DNA is definitely building something that is massive appealing and building something that's easily accessible. We are talking about casual gaming, casual mobile gaming, and that is also what we want to do. And I'm always saying, like, that's very important for me. We are game makers. We are blockchain agnostic. Everyone who is in the industry knows there are different opinions, different sides. And our first project Alpha, is built with the integration of Bitcoin and the Lightning Network, for example. Yeah. So just this as a little bit of a disclaimer that you also know where we're coming from. As pnkfrg, our vision is, as I said, to create a completely new experience that is a new mobile and social experience for players and for creators. That means what we're also doing is we are combining a kind of a gaming world with a creator world. It means user-generated content is a big topic for us. That's the reason why we also have quite very important or very specific requirements on chains. And in that context, what's also important for us, we want to make cryptocurrencies and digital ownership as easily accessible as possible and also sustainable from a business perspective. Let's talk a little bit about the current state of blockchain gaming. Who of you played those games? Or who of you knows them? As I thought. So as I did this slide, I was a little bit like, I got this kind of memory flash because I had the feeling I did the same slide as I worked in the starting days of social gaming. And then a couple of years later, as I was working in the starting days of mobile gaming, you always have a couple of games that are on the market and then you start talking about this. I think what's important here is like we have games on the market, no one is really playing them. They're quite small, that's pretty clear, but it's also very normal because we're at the very early stage, as I said. Nevertheless, they're recovering, they're growing again after a dip in the last month, and that's good. And also for every one of you who is interested a little bit in infrastructure on the gaming side, what is currently popular, and the different chains that are used. And I also say this always with a little bit background information. In the whole blockchain gaming or blockchain industry, it's a little bit hard to get really for mobile gaming really solid data. But that's a little bit currently, so the size of the different chains that are used, Wax, Hive, Solana, BSD, EOS, those are the most common chains currently in the blockchain gaming area. What's missing here, for example, is Bitcoin and Lightning Network. Transaction number is bigger than on Wax currently. But nevertheless, so that's the current framework or environment. Also giving you a little bit of an overview about the high-level numbers, as you can see. And also here again, I think it's here not so about the accuracy, it's more about the relation or the context. We have currently 1.1 unique active wallets. So that's a little bit the equivalent of players. And that should be around 60% of the total industry, blockchain industry. We're talking about 1,600 games. Out of those 1,650 games, around 11-12% are mobile games, or accessible via mobile in that context. And in last year, about a capitalization revenue stream of around 6.2 billion. And that's, of course, quite low, all of that. And that's the reason why also the gaming industry is not really like super hungry to jump on this topic. In the gaming industry, we're currently talking about 3 billion players. So everyone who raised the hand, you're part of the 3 billion. The number of games is even not, it's hard to me to research those numbers. Something around 5 million people are talking about, around plus 500,000 mobile games. So the competition in the mobile game sector is crazy. And a yearly revenue or annual revenue last year of around 175 billion. So that's a little bit the equivalent. I just wanted to visualize this, and that's one of my most favorite visualization around the revenue growth or the history of gaming. And that shows also a little bit the challenges for blockchain gaming currently. So if you look at in this right corner, so that's from last year, so that's the reason why there's no blockchain. But here you can see cloud and VR. Last year that was a little bit the size of what blockchain was last year currently. So you see it's not relevant in the gaming market currently. It's peanuts. Another topic what you can see is like the gaming market is driven by mobile nowadays. It's dominated by mobile. And this is the biggest chunk here. And as long as blockchain is not really cracking the mobile topic, blockchain gaming won't grow at all. It's a little bit an issue currently what we have in blockchain gaming that it's a niche product, it's a niche target audience, and as long as those things are not cracked, then forget it. Because what you have here, you have 3 big pillars. You have the console pillar. Console gamers, console market is super stubborn and solid, so they don't open up for blockchain at all. PC or online you have already, and mobile is something you need to crack. Without mobile, there's no further growth in the blockchain gaming market. A little bit about the promises, only on a high level. You hear always a lot of buzzwords. I only put a couple of buzzwords, what we're talking in the gaming industry. And when someone is part of the gaming industry, yeah, there's a lot of heated discussion. I can tell you now, also from my history, I'm working now with blockchain games. Before that, I worked with mobile gaming and free-to-play, and before that with social gaming. And every time I started in this kind of industry, I got a lot of hate from the gaming industry. Like in social gaming, the gaming industry told me, what you're doing is bullshit, we hate it. In the free-to-play mobile gaming area, the people told me, what you're doing is bullshit, we hate it. But at the end, every time it breaks through, and blockchain gaming now as well. So digital ownership, interoperability, decentralization, nothing of that is really working, as we can say it. In the gaming industry, that's the reason why it's not really adapting. We have a missing gameplay, niche player motivation, unclear regulations, scalability issues, speed issues, one of the biggest issues, but we have infrastructure limitation, platform limitation, not accessible, on, off-ramp, nothing is really working. So there's a lot of issues and a lot of topics we need to crack. If those topics are not really solved, then there's also not really a further growth on this market. But the good thing is we're working on this, and the even better thing is there's a lot of investment in the market as well. So like since last year it was like, or this year we have a run rate of around 10 billion already. A lot of good investments, and I would say in the next 5 to 7 years, we probably really will see a sustainable market around this coming out. So in the next years, you will see what the one or the other hit, maybe what we can call a hit in the blockchain area, not comparable to the gaming market, but for blockchain, there will be the one or the other hit. But it will take until working concepts, until working business concepts in the blockchain model. Gaming industry is really working, is get adjusted, adapted. And then I would say in 5 to 7 years, we probably will see a more sustainable part. And what we will have then is something that is, like the chart before, over the time scale is getting bigger and bigger, and will also grow, and blockchain gaming will be part of the whole gaming industry as well. So the good thing is blockchain gaming is an embryonic state, as I said, very early in the innovation life cycle. But the future looks definitely bright. There's a lot of innovation going on. There are several areas to improve, but there's also room of innovation, all those kind of areas to improve. that might have sounded a little bit pessimistic. A lot of people, or the whole industry is working on that, so I'm very optimistic that those kind of things getting fixed quite fast. And of course, there's extreme growth potential in the market as well. And my estimation will be that blockchain gaming will become the lead towards Web3, definitely, as gaming is always one of the biggest and most popular entertainment sectors and areas. And it's also a kind of a pop culture thing and a driver in the society. So also in this part, I think blockchain gaming will be the biggest part, and we will always see probably around 50% of the revenue coming from gaming on the blockchain sector. And yeah, that's it. And just to give you a little bit on our project Alpha, what we're doing, because I said we're integrating Lightning Network. Who of you knows Bitcoin Lightning Network? Yeah. Probably a lot of NFT people are not so happy about this, but okay, we are people who are working together on the future. Why did we integrate Lightning? So we investigated a lot of other topics, chains, NFTs as well, and we have a project better in this area as well, so no pressure on this. But for the moment, what we need is it's just fast. It's the fastest opportunity. We have microtransactions that are feeling like in-game currency, low cost, easy on-off ramp, or easy or better at the moment. And it's truly interoperable. It's not between games or application, it's also between on and offline world. And that is exactly what we want to have. And it's just, what you see is just screens out of design study or out of CPI test, how we call it more or less. It's a concept, it's not real artwork or something like this. But what you can see is how we are using it, in particular also to reward players in the game. We have user-generated content, that means we're using it also for tipping the creator in this context, for easily cashing it out. And we're also working on a direct ramp towards a payment provider. And we're also using or leveraging probably the Lightning Network in other areas or other features that are currently provided by other startups as well. So, but that is what we're doing with the chain or with the Lightning Network currently. For us, it's a perfect fit because we call ourselves blockchain agnostic, because we say also we want to use what is the best fit to the player and what brings the best or the best benefit to the player over time. Oh. Okay, good. And that is just as a use case from our side, on top of the information about the blockchain market. And thank you from my side.
One question, if you think about decentralized technologies and about gaming, like the biggest impact, if you can only choose one thing, what would that be that these technologies would bring along? I know it's a difficult question, but
I think the topics I covered here.
But those were tons of things.
Yeah, the promises are. Yeah. I think they're not really here now. But I think they're very important for me, at least. For example, the reason why I started to work on this topic is the second one, interoperability. That is something I love. This idea is something I love. And I think that is driving that will drive a lot of value in the future.
I love that you mentioned that topic because I was in another talk and it's super easy to do that with fashion items, I heard, but think about a sword that you want to take from metaverse A to metaverse B and have the same gaming mechanics in there. It's difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that is something that will take a longer time, because how I know the gaming industry, this kind of interoperation will not be easy between companies. Within one company, yes. And that's also the reason why we're focusing now on Satoshi, on the Lightning Network, because we want to achieve something that won't be that easy in the next years. But we want to provide this opportunity. That means when you play in our game, the Satoshi you can take out and you can immediately use in another game. And because I'm really caught on this idea of interoperability, and there's something I want to provide as soon as possible to the player, not just in 5-6 years when the more games are operating in the same way.
Cool. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
So.